So good evening, everybody. So I'm very happy that this performance lecture will happen today on the specific date of the 30th of September. And I allow me before just to clarify a bit the general context of this lecture performance, to which I'm looking very much forward. So this lecture is part of Commune 1 to 73. Commune 1 to 73 is a tryout to deal with the questions and the shadows of the French commune from 150 years ago, and understanding the commune as a tryout to think about the reorganization of the urban space and thinking about the invention of a self-organized body of people, trying to train a different way of decision making, a different way of politics, different way of, perhaps you can say, ecology. This Commune 1 to 73 has different approaches. So there are performances which happen, there are texts, there are tryouts in the urban space, but there are also dear artists and people I like a lot that I allowed myself to invite to contribute one of the 70 fragments. The whole project, Commune 1 to 73, is part of the Urban Laboratory Plus International, which is initiated by FFT Düsseldorf, where we are now at the very moment in Düsseldorf. And the procedure of tonight will be the following: that after the lecture performance of Tita and Irwan, which will be bilingual and will take about 40 minutes, there will be questions between me and them, and then the digital participants and the analog participants, which are sitting beside around behind me looking on the screen, can also ask you questions, and then I will leave my chair so that you digital ones can see them over there. It's a bit bizarre setup, but we did our best to to make it fluid. So now tonight there will be the performance lecture, which is at the same time fragment 22, The Boy Who is Sacrificed, by Irwan Ahmett and Tita Salina, which are working as a self-taught, which I find really interesting, a self-taught artist duo placed and based in Jakarta, who are dealing with geological, ecological, and political turmoils, I would say, and trying to develop different practices in the urban space, particularly in the north of Jakarta, and reflecting by artistic acts the changes initiated by perhaps global capitalist interests, but also by other movements or by other global movements, but always to perhaps connect macro and micro political environments to put it in a broader context. That's a very short. So, but now I hand over to you both. And I welcome the guests, the online guests. I think most of them are from Indonesia. And yes, I hand over to Irwan and Ahmett, and thank you that you accepted my invitation.
Thank you, Claudia, for such a lovely introduction. Okay, I will stop in Bahasa and Tita will translate to English. Apabila Anda sedang mengalami kondisi gangguan mental, sebaiknya tidak menyaksikan pertunjukan ini.
For those who have a mental health conditions, it is not recommended to watch this performance lecture.
Barangkali pengorbanan adalah intervensi spiritual paling arkaik dalam peradaban. Di pesisir Jawa, sebelum kedatangan Islam, praktek-praktek menumbalkan manusia masih dilakukan. Bisa jadi ini adalah cara manusia untuk bernegosiasi dengan nasib atau ketidakpastian masa depan. Setidaknya, cara-cara ini memberikan kabar baik bagi mereka yang percaya akan kehidupan setelah kematian.
Perhaps sacrifice is the most archaic spiritual interventions in civilizations. On the coast of Java, before the arrival of Islam, the practices of sacrificing humans were still carried out. This could be a human way to negotiate with fate or the uncertainty of the future. At least these ways provide good news for those who believe in life after death.
Babak pertama, Malam Jahanam.
Chapter 1, Hell Night.
Malam ini, tepat di malam ini, 56 tahun lalu, di puncak perang dingin yang memanas di Asia Tenggara, sebuah pembantaian dalam skala besar terjadi begitu keji. Dipicu oleh konflik internal Angkatan Darat, 7 petinggi militer terbunuh dalam satu malam, dalam gerakan 1 Oktober 1965.
On this night, exactly this night, 56 years ago, in the peak of the heated Cold War in Southeast Asia, a brutal massacre on a large scale occurred. Triggered by an internal conflict in the Indonesian army, 7 high-ranking military were killed in one night in the coup attempt of October 1st, 1965.
Dewa kematian menghampiri pulau-pulau surgawi di Khatulistiwa. Jawa, Bali, Sumatera, Kalimantan, dan pulau-pulau lainnya saat musim hujan di waktu itu berubah menjadi musim jagal. Rakyat tak berdosa ditumbalkan.
The god of death approached the Paradise Islands along the equator. Jawa, Bali, Sumatra, Kalimantan or Borneo, and other islands. Rainy seasons turned into a slaughter season. Innocent people were sacrificed.
Kekejian tersebut tidak dilakukan dengan cara-cara profesional. Misalnya seperti menggiring para korban masuk ke dalam kamar gas atau menembak dengan senapan mesin. Tetapi dilakukan dengan cara-cara amatir, dengan alat-alat sehari-hari.
the atrocities were not carried out professionally. For example, the victims were led into the gas chamber or shot with the machine guns, but instead, those victims were carried out in amateur ways with everyday tools.
Alat-alat pertanian seperti golok ini adalah senjata favorit yang mudah dan murah, memberikan rasa sakit maksimal pada korbannya. Golok sering terlihat digunakan saat terjadi pecah kerusuhan etnis, konflik horizontal, ataupun digunakan untuk ritual-ritual suci khas Nusantara, seperti pemenggalan kerbau.
The agricultural tools, such as these machetes, are the favorite one. It is handy, inexpensive, and causes maximum pain to the victims. These tools are seen to be used when the ethnic riots, horizontal conflicts occur, or used for typical archipelago sacred rituals, such as buffalo beheading.
Golok ini, bagian hitamnya dibuat dari tanduk kerbau. Kayunya adalah kayu johar. Sementara pisaunya diasah dari sisa-sisa kendaraan Perang Dunia Kedua buatan Amerika Serikat. Dalam film Act of Killing yang disutradarai oleh Joshua Oppenheimer, kita bisa melihat bahwa kanibalisme tidak sepenuhnya hilang dari dunia.
This machete is made from buffalo horn, and johar wood, the handle, and the blade inside is made from part of the Second World War vehicle. In the movie Act of Killing, directed by Joshua Oppenheimer, we can see that cannibalism has not completely disappeared from the world.
Bab 2. Penyembelihan.
Chapter 2, Slaughter.
Dalam kepercayaan Abrahamik atau Ibrahim, dikenal luas kepatuhan sang nabi kepada perintah Tuhan untuk menyembelih anaknya tercinta.
In Abrahamic beliefs, it is widely known that the prophets, obedience to God's command, that he must slaughter his beloved son.
Today, saat ini, di era coding, para influencer digital natif, mereka rela untuk menyembelih iPhone-nya tercinta untuk mendapatkan popularitas dan uang.
In this coding era, the native digital influencer are willing to slaughter their favorite iPhones for fame and money.
Tatkala tragedi-tragedi besar terjadi di pantai utara Jawa, seperti misalnya pada kematian yang beruntun, biasanya sangat misterius penyebabnya, atau cuaca laut yang memburuk, hasil tangkapan ikan yang menurun, maka dilakukanlah rangkaian prosesi ritual komunal, tentu saja dengan melaksanakan pemenggalan.
When major tragedies occur on the north coast of Java, such as mysterious deaths, deteriorating sea weather, or declining fish catches, a series of communal ritual processions will be carried out, of course, by involving the slaughter.
Di tahun 80-an, saat Indonesia sedang mengalami pembangunan infrastruktur, umur saya masih bocah, sekitar 7-9 tahunan. Saya sering dilarang untuk terlalu jauh bermain, karena bukan rahasia umum kalau anak-anak kecil sering diculik oleh orang yang tidak dikenal untuk dijadikan tumbal, dengan cara dicor hidup-hidup seperti si Bapak Malang ini ke dalam beton saat mendirikan atau membangun jembatan atau bangunan-bangunan lain yang lebih besar. Tujuannya agar bangunan tersebut kuat bertahan dari guncangan gempa atau kuat dimakan oleh usia.
In the 80s, when the Indonesia was undergoing infrastructure development, I was around 7 or 6 or 9 years old. I was often prohibited from playing too far from my house because it was no secret that children were often kidnapped by mysterious people and to be used as sacrifices by being cast alive, like this man on the slides. It is done when building bridges or large buildings so that the buildings can withstand earthquake shocks and last a long time.
Walaupun sebenarnya belum pernah terbukti, tetapi urban legend tersebut masih dipercaya hingga hari ini. Asumsi saya, reaksi ini adalah respon atas ketidaksetujuan masyarakat secara kolektif terhadap proses pembangunan yang memang pelaksanaannya menumbalkan banyak hal, seperti hutan, terumbu karang, sungai, bahkan menghancurkan gunung-gunung.
Although those sacrifices have never been proven legally, and no one ever catched by the police, but the urban legend is still believed to this day. My assumption is that this reaction is the people's response of disapproval of the development process, which in implementations has sacrificed a lot, such as forests, coral reef, rivers, and even destroying mountains.
Bab 3, Ziarah.
Chapter 3, Pilgrimage.
Mari kita kembali ke Jakarta di Pulau Jawa.
Let's go back to Jakarta in Jawa.
Sejak tahun 2018, setiap tahun kami rutin berjalan kaki sepanjang garis pantai utara Jakarta yang sedang menghadapi ancaman serius dari kenaikan permukaan air laut dan menurunnya permukaan tanah akibat penyedotan air tanah yang tidak terkendali. Perjalanan ini rata-rata ditempuh selama 2 minggu. Kami menyaksikan bagaimana perubahan yang baik dan yang buruk terjadi secara drastis setiap tahunnya.
Every year since 2018, we have a routinely walk along the north coast of Jakarta, the city that's facing serious threat of rising sea level and land subsidence due to uncontrolled extractions of groundwater. This pilgrimage takes around 2 weeks, and we witness good and bad changes occurred drastically year by year.
Dalam perjalanan yang paling umum kita temukan adalah biasanya persoalan privatisasi lahan, pulau-pulau reklamasi, ketimpangan ekonomi, dan manusia-manusia berwatak industrial. Dan tentu saja, kehancuran ekologi parah membuat saya berasumsi bahwa planet kita sebenarnya sedang sekarat.
During the walk, the pilgrimage, the most common things that we encounter are land privatizations, reclamation islands, the economic inequality, industrial-minded people, and severe ecological destructions that I assume our planet is dying.
Jakarta ditumbalkan dan tenggelam dalam diam. Senyuman iblis. Waktunya tiba untuk mengkoloni pulau lain.
Jakarta is being sacrificed and sings in silence. It is time to colonize another island.
Jakarta kelebihan beban. Akhirnya diputuskanlah pemindahan ibu kota ke Kalimantan Timur tanpa konsep yang jelas. Bahkan sangat berpotensi memenggal rumah orang utan, bekantan, beruang madu, burung rangkong, dan favorit saya adalah pesut mahakam. Juga tidak lupa masyarakat adat suku Dayak.
Jakarta was overloaded, and the decisions has been made that we have the government move the capital city to East Kalimantan without a clear concept, which has the potential to behead the homes of orangutans, proboscis monkeys, sun bears, hornbills, sea porpoise, and even indigenous Dayak people.
Jakarta sebetulnya bukan satu-satunya. Izinkan saya, sebagai calon warga Atlantean atau orang yang berasal dari benua yang tenggelam, akan menyampaikan kabar buruk.
So Jakarta is not the only one. As a prospective Atlantean and a person from a sinking city, allow me to deliver some bad news.
Saat ini, terdapat 199 kota dan kabupaten terancam akibat kenaikan permukaan air laut di Indonesia. Kota-kota seperti Bangkok, Shanghai, New Orleans, bahkan Hamburg menghadapi situasi yang serupa.
199 cities and districts are threatened by rising of sea levels in Indonesia, but also other cities such as Bangkok, Shanghai, New Orleans, and Hamburg are confronting a similar situation.
Di tahun ini, kami mencoba melakukan penelitian lebih ke arah timur dari Jakarta, tepatnya daerah pantai utara Jawa. Dibantu beberapa kawan yang juga hadir malam ini, kita mengamati melalui satelit. Dan sekali lagi, hasilnya mohon maaf kalau sebetulnya cukup membuat saya, mungkin kita merasa depresif.
This year, together with some friends that I believe that some of them are here tonight watching this performance, we conducted a research via satellite to the eastern side of Jakarta, the north coast of Java, to be precise. And the result of this research, I'm sorry to say that it could make us all depressed.
Ini adalah pantai Muara Gembong di daerah Bekasi. Daerah yang terkena erosi sekitar 1.400 hektar. Luas itu setara dengan Bandara Internasional Changi di Singapura. Dalam 18 tahun, garis pantainya mundur sejauh 4 km dari titik aslinya.
This is Muara Gembong, Bekasi. And the area of the coastal erosion is around 1,400 hectares. It can fit the area of Changi International Airport in Singapore. And in 18 years, the shoreline retreated 4 kilometers away from its original location.
Erosi pantai yang mencolok juga terjadi di Pekalongan, Kota Batik. Dalam 17 tahun, sekitar 300 hektar lahan tergenang air laut.
A striking area of coastal erosion also occurred in Pekalongan. Pekalongan is one of the most famous cities that produce batik. In 17 years, approximately 300 hectares of land was inundated by seawater.
Berikutnya adalah salah satu kota di pantai utara dengan pertumbuhan tercepat di Jawa, mungkin di tanah air, yaitu Semarang. Kota ini tidak ketinggalan mengembangkan kawasan pesisirnya dengan proyek reklamasi. Namun, akresi seluas 290 hektar sebagian besar ternyata disumbangkan oleh perkembangan kota pesisir ini. Selain itu juga Semarang mengalami erosi seluas 250 hektar.
One of the fastest growing cities in Indonesia, which is Semarang, didn't miss to develop its coastal area by reclamations, of course. The accretions area of 290 hectares is mostly contributed by urban development of the coastal city. In spite of that, it also experienced a wide erosions of 250 hectares.
Bagian biru itu pertumbuhan mungkin karena sedang terjadi proyek pesisir di sana, sementara bagian merah itu adalah warna yang terdampak karena terjadi erosi tadi.
So the blue part from this map is we assume that this is the area where the development happening right now, and the red area, that's the area where the affected because of the erosions.
Yang paling menderita dari seluruh wilayah Pantura akibat abrasi pantai adalah di Sayung, di Demak. Sekitar 2.100 hektar luasnya. Daerah ini ukurannya cukup besar ya, mungkin kalau dibandingkan sekitar 10 kali ukuran luasnya Monaco. Garis pantai mundurnya sekitar 6 km, bayangkan 6 km dari garis awal.
So being suffered the most across Pantura or northern coast of Java due to coastal erosion is Sayung in Demak, also in central Java, around 2,100 hectares. This area is calculated around 10 times the size of Monaco. Monaco is a small country, but according to Demak, this is huge. The shoreline retreated 6 kilometers away from its original locations.
Bab 4. Perjumpaan.
Chapter 4. Encounter.
Wilayah utara Jawa bekerja seperti membran, mencerna pengaruh dari luar agar dapat diserap oleh lokal. Untuk itu wilayahnya menjadi sangat unik buat identitas Pulau Jawa.
The northern region of Java works like a membrane, digests external influences to be absorbed by local. That's why this region is really unique.
Kembali ke dalam perjalanan ziarah. Dalam perjalanan yang sangat lambat ini, karena berjalan kaki, kami menemukan banyak kenangan. Tentu saja beberapa di antaranya sulit untuk dilupakan, tetapi dari semua, ada satu yang terus datang dalam kepala kami 5 kali sehari, seperti panggilan dalam sholat dalam agama Islam. Ingatan itu tertuju kepada sebuah masjid. Ingatan akan masjid yang tenggelam.
During the slow journey or pilgrimage, we encounter a lot of memories, but there is one that keeps coming back for about 5 times a day. We call it like the prayer calling in Islam. This memory is about a drowning mosque.
Peran masjid sebagai tempat ibadah dan sosial melekat erat dalam kehidupan sehari-hari. Tentu kota Jakarta dikenal dengan kota 1000 masjid, kecuali satu, sebuah masjid kecil yang dibangun pada tahun 90-an di dekat pelabuhan bersejarah Sunda Kelapa. Masjid hijau yang mulai luntur itu bernama Al-Waladun dalam bahasa Arab, yang artinya adalah anak laki-laki. Anak laki-laki yang dikorbankan, terputus dari dunia, dipisahkan secara tragis oleh tembok laut yang didirikan untuk menyelamatkan ibu kota yang sedang ditelan bumi.
The role of mosque is firmly attached to daily life, especially in Jakarta. Jakarta is famous for 1,000 mosques. But we found one. This is exceptional. A small mosque built in the 90s near the historical port Sunda Kelapa. The green mosque that's faded, named Al-Waladun in Arabic, means the boy. It was sacrificed, cut off from the world, and tragically separated by a seawall erected to save the capital that is being swallowed by the earth.
Bangunannya melepuh, rusak oleh gelombang pasang. Ketika kami ke sana, tidak ada aktivitas manusia yang signifikan di dalamnya. Hanya nelayan mancing atau menjala ikan. Ketika kami masuk, masjid itu hanya dihuni oleh koloni kehidupan laut yang menginvasi. Hewan-hewan kecil itu menempel di lantai, di dinding, dan membuat ruang keramat itu mengeluarkan suara-suara aneh.
The constructions of Al-Waladun is broken by the tidal waves. No human activities in it anymore. Only some fishermen outside of the buildings. And only colonies of invasive marine life that attach to the floor and walls and making the sacred space emit mysterious sounds.
Bagi kami, situasi ini adalah sesuatu yang tidak lazim. Karena saya tumbuh tentu dekat dengan lingkungan masjid. Juga bagi sebagian besar masyarakat Indonesia, masjid memiliki banyak fungsi. Mungkin tidak akan cukup dituliskan satu persatu di sini. Misalnya sebagai tempat untuk berkumpul, ruang belajar anak-anak, bahkan dijadikan tempat untuk berlindung dalam keadaan darurat saat terjadi banjir atau tsunami.
For us, in the Muslim country, this is something unusual because to most Indonesian people, mosques have multiple purposes. Of course, one of it is for the praying, but other function is for the meeting point, for the learning space for children, and also emergency shelter when the floods or tsunami occurs.
During this pandemic, shopping mall, dalam kondisi pandemi seperti sekarang, shopping mall ataupun pusat perbelanjaan, bandara, stasiun kereta, bahkan pasar yang tradisional, semua bisa ditutup, kecuali satu, susah menutup masjid. Kenapa? Tidak tahu, tetapi bisa jadi karena sistem ekonomi dan pengelolaannya, masjid sangat independen dengan menggunakan penggalangan dana dari publik.
So during the emergency events like today, the pandemics occurs. The shopping malls, airports, train stations, and traditional markets, they need to be closed. But except mosque. We never know why, but it could be to the management and finance systems that run independently, like they're using regular public fundraising.
Sebagai negara muslim terbesar di dunia, posisi masjid selalu menjadi titik sentral dalam koordinat sebuah wilayah. Maka arsitektur tempat ibadah itu selalu tepat berada di tengah-tengah kepungan persoalan identitas atau persoalan geopolitik. Seperti apa yang secara konstan sekarang terjadi di Palestina dan kota Istanbul.
As the largest Muslim country in the world, the positions of a mosque has always been the central point in the coordinates of one region. So the architecture of mosques always in the midst of the siege of identity and geopolitical issues, like what's been constantly happening in Palestine and the city of Istanbul.
Ternyata bangunan yang dianggap suci ini justru diantaranya terlihat bahkan sedang menderita. Seperti Masjid Hanyut di Pacitan, memang sudah dievakuasi, tetapi melihat masjid mengapung itu rasanya seperti mimpi. Bangunan suci itu terseret oleh banjir, lalu mengapung di tengah-tengah teluk.
It turns out that the buildings that are considered sacred, some of them are suffering, such as this floating mosque in Pacitan. It is like a dream to see a mosque being swept away by the flood and then floating in the bay.
Masjid Lapindo, entah namanya apa, tapi sangat terkenal sebagai Masjid Lapindo di Sidoarjo, Jawa Timur. Bukan hanya masjid, tetapi desa-desa yang tenggelam akibat kegagalan proses pengeboran gas 15 tahun lalu hingga hari ini terus menyembur. Lumpur panas keluar mengubur hewan ternak dan memenggal ingatan kolektif tentang kampung halaman.
This mosque is located in Sidoarjo, in East Java. We never know what's the name of this mosque, but this mosque also are surrounded by the villages that already swallowed up by mud due to the failure of the gas drilling process 15 years ago, which is still gushing until today. The mud burying cattle and chopping off collective memories of hometown.
Masjid di Aceh, satu-satunya arsitektur yang tersisa setelah gempa berkekuatan 9,3 skala Richter di Samudra Hindia, men-trigger tsunami berdampak terhadap 14 negara, dan bahkan ratusan ribu nyawa hilang di tahun 2004.
A mosque in Aceh. This is the only architecture left after the 9.3 magnitude earthquake in the Indian Ocean triggered the tsunami that affected 14 countries and hundreds of thousands of lives in 2004.
Yang terbaru adalah masjid di Palu. Sisa-sisa gempa bumi di sana menyebabkan likuifaksi, mengkondisikan tanah yang keras berubah menjadi lumpur. Ketika lembek menghisap rumah-rumah dan kehidupan di atasnya. Terjadi di tahun 2018.
The most current one, this is the mosque in Palu. The earthquake remnants caused the liquefactions. It turns the ground into mud. It sucked up the houses and life on them. It occurred in 2018.
Dalam perjalanan lebih mendalam di pesisir utara, kami menemukan tempat ibadah kepercayaan lainnya yang juga mengalami kondisi tidak beda jauh dengan masjid tenggelam atau al-waladun. Seperti gereja di Semarang, kelenteng di beberapa tempat pesisir, krematorium, atau kuburan suci dan tempat-tempat sakral lain.
On a deeper journey that we took, we found places of worship of other faiths that also experiencing similar conditions, such as the churches in Semarang, temples, holy graves, and sacred places.
Di Pekalongan, dekat rumah teman saya, kuburannya harus ditinggikan, karena kalau tidak, itu akan terendam oleh air saat banjir.
This is one of the cemetery, this is in Pekalongan, no? Yeah, this is in Pekalongan. So our friend told that some people need to lift up the tombs. Otherwise, it will be submerged.
Dalam perjalanan ini mungkin kami terlalu cepat, tapi ada sedikit yang janggal. Karena sangat jarang, bahkan tidak ditemukan komunitas-komunitas yang membahas, tentu komunitas-komunitas citizen ya, yang membahas tentang perubahan iklim. Padahal kondisinya sangat jelas, mereka melihatnya setiap hari. Padahal menurut Alkitab atau bagi umat Islam itu ada Al-Quran, 14 abad lalu Tuhan berfirman kepada Muhammad tentang kehancuran telah terjadi di daratan maupun di lautan. Melihat apa yang terjadi disampaikan 14 abad lalu, sepertinya kita tidak pernah dan tidak akan bisa belajar dari sejarah.
To see what's happening in the coastal and also in Jakarta coast, we are quite shocked and surprised that very rarely or even none of these communal or communities discuss about the climate change. Even though in the Quran, 14 centuries ago, God said to Muhammad that, the Prophet Muhammad, that it has visible damage on land and at sea. So we realize that after 14 centuries, we have never and never will be able to learn from his story.
Ini adalah sisi lain, sisi gelap dari rumah Tuhan yang tidak sepenuhnya selalu menjadi tempat suci.
This is the other side, or to be precise, the dark side of the house of God that is not always a holy place.
Setelah peristiwa 9/11 di Amerika, dilanjutkan dengan penyembelihan kekuasaan Saddam Hussein oleh Amerika, maka sentimen anti-Islam merambat hingga kampung-kampung di Indonesia. Masjid sempat dijadikan pencarian atau digunakan untuk menumbuhkan bibit-bibit ekstremis. Dan memang berhasil. Karena apa? Karena pemberontakan ideologi Islam tidak pernah mati dari awal Republik Indonesia berdiri.
After the events of 9/11, followed by the slaughter of Saddam Hussein's power by America, anti-Islam sentiment goes spread to villages in Indonesia, one of them. And the mosque had been used as a search or to grow the seeds of extremists. And indeed it succeeded because the Islamic ideological rebellion had never died since the Republic of Indonesia was founded.
Imam Samudra, mastermind yang karismatik dari bom Bali tahun 2002, menuliskan dalam bukunya yang dilarang karena digunakan sebagai panduan kaum jihad. Dia, sebagai anak muda waktu itu, mulai mewujudkan perjuangannya untuk menuju lembah kematian di Afghanistan saat bertemu seseorang di sebuah masjid di bilangan Jakarta Pusat.
Imam Samudra, the mastermind of the 2002 Bali bombings. He wrote in his book that is now banned, he began to realize that he struggled to get to the Valley of Death in Afghanistan when he met someone in one mosque in the central Jakarta.
Saat ini, mungkin beberapa tahun terakhir lah, kencangnya gerakan penolakan anti-reklamasi dari aktivis lingkungan, orang-orang hukum, bahkan nelayan, membuat para developer yang licin bagai ular selalu bergerak mencari cara menempatkan masjid sebagai arsitektur yang awal didirikan sebelum bangunan lainnya, sehingga mampu meredam sentimen gerakan yang tidak setuju dengan proyek reklamasi yang kontroversial itu.
In the current years, the fierceness of the anti-reclamation project movement from the environmental activists, fishermen, and law has made developers who are slippery as a snake find a trick to construct a mosque as the earliest architecture built so as to put out the sentiments of those who disagree.
Mari kita coba dengarkan sama-sama suara dari bawah air Masjid Tenggelam ataupun al-waladun yang kami rekam dengan hidrofon.
Let's take a moment together to listen to the underwater sound of the sinking mosque Al-Waladun that we recorded with the hydrophones.
Kalau ada seseorang yang paham apa yang dikatakan oleh hewan laut ini, tolong teks ke saya.
If anyone could understand what this creature talk, please inform us.
Setelah mendengarkan apa yang dikatakan oleh tritip atau hewan laut, ada suara kerang, ada suara pipa bocor, siput laut, ikan belanak, maka kami membulatkan tekad. Kami mendengarkan nasihat mereka sebagai pasangan untuk mengambil keputusan penting, yakni mengadopsi si anak lelaki yang tenggelam tersebut.
After we listen to these barnacles, to these clams, snails, or leaking pipe, or mullets, they actually give us advice that we, as a couple, came up with the decisions. Let's adopt the boy.
Bab 5, adopsi.
Chapter 5, adoption.
Tos dulu. Untuk merayakan pengadopsian si bocah lelaki, kita tidak membuka wine karena kata Muslim wine itu haram.
Walaupun enak.
Walaupun enak. Tentu perayaan ini adalah untuk perayaan mengadopsi si anak lelaki dan kepindahan ibu kota Republik Indonesia. Dan tentu saja sesuatu yang akan kita semua hadapi bersama, yaitu datangnya era katastrofi di dunia kita.
To celebrate this boy's adoptions moment, and also the moving of the capital city of the Republic of Indonesia, and plus what we all here face together, that is the arrival of a catastrophic era in the world,
maka kami sepakat untuk melakukan sesuatu yang besar, lebih besar dari ambisi.
then we decided we have to do something big, bigger than ambitions. Musa perlu tongkat, saya perlu golok. Moses needed a staff, and I need a machete.
Oh miring ini. Oh tali. Oh sudah kayu.
Acara apa sih, Pak? Pembalasannya si Pitung ini, pembalasan si Pitung. Ucil yang punya wilayah nih. Jakarta Utara.
Tuh tahan aja di depan.
Itu ngobrol
terbang. Ini rooster naik ke gagangnya terbang gitu kalau terbang.
Sini ya? Iya. Kurang tengah dikit. Nih, Cep. Angkat, Cep. Oh, ram langsung mana? Kang.
Jatuh itu.
Nama saya Tita Salina, saya adalah titisan Moses. My name is Tita Salina, I am Moses incarnation.
Nama saya Irwan Ahmett. Saya adalah titisan Ibrahim. My name is irwan ahmett. I am Abraham incarnation. Thank you.
Terima kasih.
So I would thank you very, very much for this really interesting bilingual performance lecture and this, how to say, this tour de force you offered between different, I would say, different consequences of violence. And I would be really interested about perhaps, can you tell perhaps more how you see the relation between, we say we have the Mahiti theme, which started with the slaughter after 1965, where it was a clear ideological killing, and the relation to the, we can say, the slaughter or violence happening on nature, cause of different extractions and the sinking city.
Is that question? It's like clear?
Sorry?
What is the question? I think it's clear what you describe about this project. It could be related with your what you talked before. Yeah, of course, this is like the process is like in between. In the same times, we're doing a long time research about the ecological situation in Jakarta and north coast of Java, a little bit in Kalimantan. But hide behind that, I think the mentality of human, it's the paradoxical apes. We're still carrying the tendency of aggression, tendency even to commit violence. Yeah.
I think, and this is what I find quite remarkable, the way how you always find in a way metaphoric concretism in the way to thematize this violent issues. I would like to ask you, because what do you think the body of the artist, so dealing with this different violence, what do you think is the possibility? Because when you told me once about this pilgrimage in the north of Jakarta, so it's always a consequence with your own body. So it's not just thinking about something, but really getting inside the really concrete situation. And I'm just interested because here we have also many discussions about urban organization, about consequences of communitarian organization, but also the relation between the, we can say, art and the artist's body, and also political issues. I'm quite interested what you both think about it.
Yeah, Tita, would you like to answer?
Oh, you go first.
Okay. I would like to say it's mostly when we addressing the subject about artistic platform. I mean, everybody very familiar with that already. But this is connect what we are doing in the last few years as an artist. But we taking a little bit risk by addressing the subject into the religions, right? I think religion is a little bit neglected by the artistic and cultural approach, even from the contemporary world. Because in my personal opinion, it's a little bit like a distance. This is like my personal life. But it's turned out when we approaching in a grassroots level, the roles of the religion or spiritual, it's very strong. Perhaps because for some of them who lives in a very uncertain condition, they need something to make them sure and to make them a little bit confident about their future. So for us, this is like something really a new thing. As an artist, try to how connect with this belief, religions, and even the spiritual in Java especially. For example, we read about the discuss with the grassroots. They even don't know like 10 lists of famous artists or 10 lists of Indonesian great artists. They don't know. They only know 25 of the prophets in Islam. So it's like, and it's already 1014 years ago, but still like really apply in the daily life of people. And it's like turn me around a little bit how we can interweaving this belief and even the ancient or archaic spiritual or even ritual to see from our personal perspective as an artist. I know it's a bit like always difficult in the beginning because we grow up with that cultures. Me myself, for example, I close with the mosque, and but again, to see it from very different angle, it's so fascinating. And if we could replace the name of the mosque to the cooperative or to the collective, I think they've worked very well, better than contemporary art.
Yeah, I think about talking about the pilgrimage itself and how it affects the body. I think it's interesting why we choose the walk, because the walk is kind of like in Jakarta, especially as a car-oriented cities. The walk itself is already deadly in some areas.
We could like die crossing the street in Jakarta.
Like
you know already, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and also I think I would like to put my positions in the walking as a human, not only artist, and also I like to we like to challenge the senses, the body senses, and how it absorb with the things that we see, we smell, and we listen. I think how to say, it's really like in 2 weeks, walking every day is kind of like a performance, like a performative walks. Like there's no boundaries between us and the sidewalks and the people that we met, and it's also trained. I must say, like the walk itself train ourselves as a humans, and how we accept other humans.
In reality.
Yeah, and in reality, and and also this a lot of things that we encounter that Irwan already mentioned is also really enriched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also because of this pandemic, really put us at homes for almost 2 years, and we discover in the coastal area, it's like dense with the population, right? And the scale is also quite big. I mean, Java size from the west to the east is almost like from Berlin to Kiev. It's very long, but it, like loaded with the people. And what I really admire about the living people, especially outside of Jakarta, that really depend on the muscles. It is like all about the power, and these things that we are lack of it. In the city especially, we need to go to the fitness center to exploit our muscles. But in the daily life, muscle, it's like the bonding strategy to among each others, or even to share power with others.
But you mean muscles, not muscles. Also the muscles here, the muscles, and not the not the muscles which are in the sunken mosque.
Yeah. So the muscles, like really, you see, like the heavy stuff, they could move like a huge ship. With only bare hands, but of course involve 100 people. This is like a beautiful inspiration for us.
I would like to open for questions of our digital guests, but also if from the guests being here. So if you want to raise a question, please leave my seat. Or if someone from the digital participants would like to ask something, so you're really invited to join the discussion. Please raise the hand, the digital hand, that we see it, so we can let you in.
Feel free to ask with bahasa, yeah? So we can also...
Yes, we can mix the languages.
Yeah.
So, till the question arrives. Perhaps I'm again quite interested because you said this topic of how you see, because you said to raise the topic of religion, and no one dares to raise the topic of religion via the artist, and also, but how you see the relation of the, I don't know, perhaps I'm totally wrong, but on the one hand, Indonesia is a extremely, with a high percentage of Muslim belief, and at the other hand, I find it quite amazing the syncretism happening with animistic tradition. So there's a certain subversion of certain Islamic rites, and I would be just be curious how you put this syncretism together with the ecological issue.
Well, it's like K-pop music, right? If we go a little bit to like the north part of Java, we can find one song, but like 100 versions from dangdut, slow, sad song, but still the same song. So this is kind of the similar treatment for religion. This is one religion, but in many places, they kind of adapt to their own cultures. Of course, at the moment, like more and more people become conservative, they try to control some, like, let's say, superstitions, ritual, right? But I think in general, especially in Java, you can believe any other of gods, like really kind of major religions in this planet. But under the skin, it's still very mysterious creatures. That thing I would like to say that we are very good by wearing masks, and we never know what the real characters of ourselves. There could be like a religion is a bit like the mask for us as an animal. Maybe Tita as a woman is very different because women also like apply the practice to the body, right, for the religions.
Yeah, like nowadays, I think for the last decades, like more and more conservative and more how to say, like women wearing hijab compared to like, let's say like 20 years ago, even like, or even 15 years ago. I guess I'm not saying that I'm not part of it, but I would say like my family is quite conservative. Like 2 of my nieces and nephew are here. They are the daughter and sons of my older sisters, and for example, like my family. So they are quite conservative, but they're also open-minded, and that's the thing. But that's the other thing that I found in these today's situations, like the conservative but really narrow-minded. That's the thing that we have some issues. Like, for example, like about the climate change, for example. Indonesia, I think, Indonesia now is the rank #1, the country who's not recognized the climate change. So it's really, I don't know what to say. I mean, we are the biggest Muslim country in the world, but in the same time, we are not recognized the climate change. So me personally, I'm really interesting to see, to find the equilibriums, how it relates. I mean from the Sharia, from the Sharia law, from the Islamic law, and the climate change. So I think yeah, that's the thing that I like to know more about that.
Is there anyone of our the analog guests that don't dare to ask something? But perhaps the digital guest, there's someone who... I see no hand rising, unfortunately. Perhaps I have a very last question. Do you have forms of organization which you can share with us, which are dealing in a which you find relevant, how they deal with counteracting the understanding of the climate change? So which are doing communitarian organizations or acts together which try to deal with it in a different way? Because when you say on a state level, it's not considered at all, and at the same time the city is sinking. And are there any examples of artists or organizations which try to deal with this ongoing changing urban situation?
Yeah, there is like a well-known institution of organization and also quite credible. But to be honest, they are very busy. Maybe they are too busy, then the city is sinking, and then they have to just busy work. but perhaps like more into the individual local leaders who like born as respected as a leaders in the society. This is kind of more like small impact to the climate change, but if we try to connect with this kind of small initiative from the local people or for the local people who have a strong leadership, I think it's a very useful for create more awareness. But for this, we could make a list and.
Yeah, I think now in the level of self-initiative, it's growing. I mean, from what I see from in the social media like Instagram or Facebook, like more and more local initiatives, they are more like an act, like collecting garbage and then recycling it or reuse. Or ask people to collect their old clothes and make something out of it. So this is growing, but to talk about the art itself or like in the contemporary, I think it's still in the individual levels.
I have to admit, Claudia, I think for this complicated problems and the scale, again, I mean, the scale of Indonesia, like massive, like gigantic. It's true, we need a politician, a good leadership, and a goodwill. These three things that we don't have right now. There is a politician, of course, but they're busy to planting the hatred and the fake news, right? So. And we can imagine if this politician spread out the hatred to the mind of people, and in 1 year we have like really kind of become. It's a very hard to accept more reality because everyday people depend on the populism concept from this. I don't know, poor politician.
I think that's also the main thing that we have a real issue that. I think it's also everywhere, not only Indonesia, that we are really hard to accept reality because reality is not as good as we expected. So I think we need like a bigger heart to accept reality. I think it's everyone's issues.
Yeah. And the good thing is, as an artist, we can like play in the gray area, so in between, or even to claim the status quo, like what we did in the middle of the sea.
Hi, my name's Jeff Dirksen. I'm one of the visiting artists here in Düsseldorf, and I'm visiting from Vancouver in Canada. And I have a question that's related to Claudia's last question, which is, if the city is sinking, how is that changing culture? So if Claudia's question was what is the artistic reaction to climate change? I'm wondering, how does the climate change affect cultural production in a sense? So let me give you two examples that I thought of. For instance, in New Orleans, a city that's also sinking and having considerable environmental disasters all of the time, they developed particular forms of funerals. They also developed particular forms of burial, right? So same thing of folks being buried above ground. And there's a very small city near where I live in Canada called Spuzum, where they had many floods from the river, and they eventually buried people in the sitting position so that they could move them whenever the flood was coming. So I'm just wondering how the sinking city is affecting culture, whether it's through those cultural rituals such as funerals, or if there's other forms of culture that are being affected by the city sinking.
Yeah. Thank you for such a similar, like, especially with the cemetery, for example. In some area who affected by the floods or like high tide, so the cemetery already under the sea.
Under the water.
So of course people have to change the behavior. For example, regularly they visiting the family to see the tombs, but now they couldn't see it anymore, just like open water. So they have to have different imagination to throw the flowers, not directly to the cemetery, but just to the water. And another thing, like right now, in the big scale, the government try to build the seawall, right? In some area, the seawall is already built. You see the next from the mosque, this is like around 3 kilometers or 2 kilometers seawall. And it also like a change of the behavior of the people. For example, how they now, it's bit, they cannot access to the sea, especially for the fishermen, because like 2 meters or even 3 meters high of the walls. But because they depend on the sea for life, they create like a bamboo structures and like intervention architectures, just try to keep struggling life in this very difficult situation. And even like for some others kampung or like small settlement who already blocked by the walls, so they cannot see the sea, just the walls. They make like the mural or paintings on that wall. So they have the imagination that wall is
painting is sea, like a beach.
Yeah, like a beach. So like a
See-through.
see-through to the directly to the open sea. But unfortunately, it's just a wall. And another thing, perhaps like the land ownership, now it's dramatically changed. Especially in the north part of Jakarta, who heavily privatized. So a long time ago, like let's say before the heavy industrial period, people see how their relation with the sea is just like more holistic. Right? They see the sea, it's their own land. So they could do many things in that area. But now it's a very different mindset because there is new islands built and privatization and electric power. So they cannot go there anymore. So now they think, okay, the sea is not like a common ground anymore. There is like a private, and also in the long term, it's like shift the people mind and the relation with the sea.
Yeah. I think also the problem here in Indonesia, although we are called Nusantara or archipelago country, but the mindset of the people is always like the mainland mindset. So yeah, mainland mindset. So we never thought about how to take care of the oceans, how to take care of the water. We only see the water as a commodity to find fish. So there is no serious serious act to take care of the sea. But and the other things, I don't know about the culture. Maybe perhaps in the next decades we can see how the climate change affect the people. But nowadays in the coastal area, in the north coast of Jakarta, or also in north coast of Java, where the water already come into people's houses. So they are like almost like 2 or 3 years, once in every 2 or 3 years, they have to lift up the floors. So the distance between the floor and the ceilings is become closer and closer. So in Semarang or in Pekalongan, if I'm not mistaken, so people call it it's Hobbit house because you need to lower your head to enter the door, and then I don't know whether we can call it interesting architecture, although it's a catastrophe. It's really sarcastic actually, but yeah, I think in architecture way, yeah, I think we will see more and more Hobbit house in the coastal areas.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I hope we could more get information about cultural things in the north. Right? There is like a common noun, a ritual, such cutting the buffalo heads. Right? It is still like practicing in a large group of communities, and it is like really a big things for them, and they still keep practicing at least once a year. So during pandemic they cannot make it, but before it's like really a regular event.
But you mean this is a sacrifice to nature, which is done regularly?
Yeah, sacrifice animal.
The big animal.
Big animal.
Do you have any comment you would like to add? Because our digital and analog public, I think they're they are already satisfied with this amazing contribution you did with your performance lecture. Is there anything you find important? Because I found when I invited you, I didn't know that it's the 30th of September, and then Irwan said, yeah, it's a special date, and at first I totally forgot about it. So it's that it's this beginning of the 30 September movement, and also I just remember this film which was shown to the people about this the killing of the generals. But is there anything you would like to add, or you would like to?
Yeah, if we connect to what happened in 1965, like the killing, and every year the military especially, they commemorate the ritual, right? Of course, they have a big budget to see the decapitated ideology in Indonesia. So inspiring by that, we would like to create a kind of similar ritual on November. Yeah, we would like to do the
ceremonial, no, okay.
When somebody died, so we have to go there and put the thumbs, right? Wait a minute, I don't know in English what the name. The ritual for the death, right? But this time it's not for the people.
Funeral.
Oh, funeral, sorry, the funeral. So the funeral for the sinking islands. We in Jakarta already 5 islands submerged under seawater. 7. Same like 7 general army. So, but our budget only allow to do a funeral for 1 island. I would be happy to invite all the friends to join together and just floating on that sinking islands on November.
But okay, I would like to join you to the island funeral. But so we have the 7 generals and the 7 islands. What an analogy. So I thank you very, very much. It's very late in Jakarta, and I thank you very much that you contributed your time and did this really interesting and amazing bilingual lecture performance with this, how you crossed the different histories towards the very moment and the big Mahiti bringing down to the ocean. So thank you very much, and I hope we see soon there or there.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Terima kasih.
Thank you, Claudia.
Terima kasih.
Thank you. Terima kasih.
Pak Irwan,
Bye.
Ini lupa ya. Mati tapi ya kayaknya.
Oke. Ya. Tutup aja.